Hey, Derek here again. Hope you enjoyed the first video. We're going to take a bit deeper dive into USA Sports Scholarships for field hockey. If this is the first time you've tuned in, if you missed the first video, what we're doing is we're waiting on final details for our field hockey sports scholarship tour that we're doing to the USA in January 2020. So the tournament's on the 17th to the 19th, and we'll be playing 5 games over 3 days. And basically we'll be traveling from Sydney over to the States, and we're just waiting on final itinerary details, and I'll release those as soon as they're available. And what we're doing is just covering off on some of the aspects of things that you need to know about sports scholarships. And regardless of where you're at in your sports scholarship journey, you're going to get a lot out of this video series, the 3 videos we're doing while we're waiting for this itinerary to be released. You'll get a lot out of it either way, whether you're coming on tour with us or not. But basically, we're taking 16 kids away, so we're taking a full team away, and we're basically heading or playing the tournament in Orlando in Florida. Now, Orlando's basically, think Gold Coast on steroids. So we've got a fun-filled tour that we've organised in and around this 3-day tournament in Orlando. And basically, there's lots of other things that we'll be doing aside from theme parks, and I'll go into the holiday specifics in detail once we release the itinerary. But just for a bit of background, if you haven't seen the first video, I'm Derek Morgan. I'm the co-founder of USASportsScholarship.com and the 30-day game plan. And Melissa and I are parents of 2 young girls who are passionate hockey players. I won't go into all the detail and background that we went through in the first video. If you want all that backstory, you can go and watch that first one, and there should be a link above the to the first video on this page. But our daughter Georgia, our oldest daughter Georgia, is just recently back from the US on holidays. She's back here for nearly 3 months. She's just done her first year in the US, had an amazing time, absolute ball. She's catching up with her friends, playing hockey here now and doing some work, getting some spending money ready to go back for her second year. And our younger daughter Amelia, she's midway through grade 11, and she's seeing what her sister's going through, and she's hell-bent on going over there and creating her own sports scholarship journey. So what we're doing in this video series is just telling you a little bit about some of the challenges that we went through in getting a sports scholarship, both through a recruitment agency and then ultimately having to go it alone, and helping you avoid some of those challenges and some of the expense and frustration that we went through. So we'll cover off on that as we go. In the first video, we spoke a lot about what does it mean to go over on sports scholarship as an elite athlete to the States. Georgia's circumstances, and this is common for a lot of young athletes, young hockey players. You get to grade 11 or 12, if you're not talent identified and you're not in those elite programs, then basically your only opportunity to develop is within the club system, which is, we have some of the best hockey club competitions in the world, but the thing is, you're typically only training once or twice a week. And if you really want to ramp your hockey up and take it to the next level, within that environment, it's really hard to, it can be a challenge to develop. So one of sort of Georgia's goals was how could she get into an elite program and give herself the best opportunity to develop as a player, and then, push for senior representative selection down the track. So the USA was a good option for her. Basically, going into an elite program, you've got access to multiple coaches within that team. We talked about a squad being 23 to 26 players. You basically got a squad of ready-made friends even before you get to the US. Again, I won't go into all of this in detail because we covered it in video 1. So I just want to give you a very quick recap. If you want sort of the detail on this, then you can go back and look at video 1. So you get 20 contact hours in season, in peak season, 20 contact hours with coaches, video sessions, on turf. You're getting, because of the coach-player ratio, you're getting a lot of one-on-one coaching, and you're playing 1 to 2 games a weekend. There's a lot of travel involved. You're seeing the States. You're basically going on tour every other weekend. And you've got a massive professional support staff around, specialist coaches, trainers, nutritionists, sports psychologists, doctors, other medical and training staff. You've got an army of supporters. So as an international athlete, basically you get adopted by the US parents. You're going back to your friends' places for weekends and holidays and those sorts of things. And they're just amazingly supportive, the US families, for our international athletes. And basically after games, there's a whole lot of socializing that goes on in the form of basically tailgates, which is a barbecue out of the back of your truck or your four-wheel drive. It's basically a picnic type environment after the games where both teams and all the families get together, and a lot of the US families actually follow the team on tour. And then from a university perspective, we had a close look at what does it mean to go over to the US and get a degree versus getting a degree at home. And there's great universities in your home country, no question about it, but it's the experience and who you become on the journey through this process that really makes you stand out and gives you a real point of difference in the job market when you're actually looking to start your career, when you're putting your resume forward, when you're going into interviews. You've traveled a different path, you've become a different person, you've got a different lot of skills, you become a more interesting character to employers, and you're coming into the job market with an established international network of connections. So we dug deeper into that in the first video. So what we're doing is we're going through this process, looking at what we did wrong, some of the challenges we faced, what we did right, and how you can avoid making the same mistakes, and how we can fast track you through the process of investigating whether a sports scholarship's right for you, and then the discovery phase. And this whole concept of going on tour fast tracks and leverages this whole process. So what we're talking about is going over and playing 5 games in front of 300 or over 300 coaches. That's basically what was there in the US at the Winter Escape last year. We've been talking to, there's quite a bit of level of excitement around in the US around us bringing a team over. And we've spoken to a number of coaches who weren't originally going to go to the Winter Escape in 2020, but they will definitely be going if we've got a team there. And so they're coming specifically to look at us. And that's a really important point, because before you go over on tour, you want to make sure that you've got your personal brand set up, you know what colleges are likely to be a good fit for you, and you've started to build relationships with coaches before you go over, because you just don't want to lob up in the States and go, hey, we're here, and hope that some of these coaches or the right coaches are going to find you. We can be more strategic about that. And this is what this video and the next video is all about. Okay, so we're taking 2 goalies, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders and 4 strikers. So, we've got quite a bit of interest built up around this tour, and because at the end of the day, it's potentially a life-changing experience for you. There's potentially a really big prize at the end of this process, and it'll allow you to decide whether a sports scholarship's going to be right for you for sure. So, there's a bit of crossover between players who can play across lines, but we obviously don't want to load a team up full of defenders or full of strikers. Okay, so we need some balance. So you might need, there'll be a sense of urgency around locking in your spot once we release the itinerary details. Okay, so who will get the most out of this tour? Basically, girls from grade 10 and 11. So second last year and third last year of high school, depending on what country you're in. And this is the perfect time for this tour. If you're in your final year of high school and you're already working on getting a sports scholarship, you've already got a profile, you've already looked at your eligibility, those sorts of things, then this tour may well be right for you. And we'd certainly like to talk to you about that. So you can message us through Facebook if you're in grade 12. because we want to make sure that you're going to get the most out of this tour if you're going to go over. Obviously, if you're in grade 10 and grade 11, you've got plenty of time to take advantage, do the work that you need to do to put yourself in the best possible position to get your dream scholarship offer. So you need to be a serious and ambitious hockey player. If you're just playing school hockey, or if you're only playing junior hockey and you're not playing hockey at a senior level, then it might be a little bit early for you to be going on this first tour, and maybe you need to be doing a little bit more work on your hockey. But if you're playing rep hockey, you're a junior playing senior hockey, and you're really serious about wanting to be in an elite program, then this tour is definitely going to be worthwhile for you. So family members and supporters, more than welcome to come on tour with us. Basically, we've partnered with SportsLink International. Paul and his team do an amazing job of putting together global supporter tours. They are the preferred travel partner for Hockey Australia and a whole host of other national sporting teams and bodies. So these guys really know their stuff when it comes to pulling together international tours. Okay, so we're going to make this a pretty special experience for you. And if you're a younger player, so if you're in grade 8 or 9 and you're getting excited about this process, grade 8 and 9 is actually the best time for you to be starting the process, but maybe not the best time for you to be coming on tour. Okay, so you've got plenty of time. Get into our 30-day game plan, understand what's on offer, start to go through the process of exploration. But yeah, if you're a really young player, grade 8 or 9, now's not the time to be going on tour. So mum and dad, have a look at the 30-day game plan and maybe save your money and look at our next tour that we do the following year. Okay, so in the first video, we looked at the 16 stages of getting involved in a sports scholarship. And basically our 30-day game plan really fast tracks you through the first 13 steps. Okay, and basically the tour is going to really put steps 1 to 9 on steroids for you. Okay, so again, we covered off on that in more detail in the first video. Now, we went through the idea and discovery phase, and you can jump on our YouTube channel and subscribe to that, and you can keep track of all of our videos. Same if you like our Facebook page. We put all our videos on there as well. So what we did was we showed you what a day in the life of a student athlete looks like, and we showed you how to do searches on specific colleges or specific sports, so that you can go through and have a look at what it means to be a student athlete over in the US. And we also gave you a link in the first video. We gave you a link directly to a playlist, so we've even done that searching for you. So now what we want to do is run through the investigation stage. So in the resources below this video, we've put together a whole bunch of things, including a sports scholarship recruitment guide, a video on how to create a shortlist, and we've given you the tools, and we're going to take you through step by step the tools that you need to run through to create a college shortlist and start giving you a look at specific colleges that are going to potentially work for you, and then you can do a deep dive into those colleges. And we're also going to cover off on the NCAA and the different divisions in the NCAA, and as it specifically relates to field hockey. And we've also given you a link directly to that page in the resources below. Okay, so you can just scroll down after this video and access all of that. So the NCAA has 3 divisions, and basically Division 1, 2, and 3. Hey, go figure! It's right there at the top of this. It's right there at the top of the screen. For this tour, what we're looking at is for athletes that are specifically looking for Division 1 opportunities. Okay, so I'm just going to run through the different levels and just touch on a couple of the key points between divisions. Okay, so there's 1,117 colleges and universities in the US, but only 260 of them, or just over 260 of them, have field hockey options available. Okay, so Division 1 is probably the most well-known division. It has all of your Ivy Leagues in it. It has your biggest, some of your biggest, most well-known universities. Each of the three divisions has amazing colleges and universities in them. So there's great options in all three divisions, but Division 1's probably got the big names that you've all heard of, seen in the movies, and etc., etc. So Division 1's the only division that can offer you a full ride sports scholarship. Having said that, first year college students or university students, it's not typical to get a full ride in field hockey. Yes, they're available, but they are rare, and certainly the top colleges over there that might be looking to provide full ride scholarships, it's very competitive. So we're just sort of flagging that for you, just to sort of start to understand that full rides are not as common as you might think. So Division 1 mostly play on wet surfaces, okay, and there's around about 77 colleges in Division 1, so there's a big variation in division, so you really need to do, or big variations in teams within the division, so you need to do your homework. You obviously don't want to find yourself in a program that is way above where you're positioned as a player. Likewise, you don't want to find yourself in a program where they're an emerging college and they're way below where you're at as a player. Both of those types of extremes could frustrate you. So it's about doing your homework and your research and finding where you're the best fit, and we'll cover off on that in a little bit more detail shortly. So Division 2, it's the smallest of the three divisions, and Division 2 offers sports scholarships. So there's just over 30 colleges in this division. They are your smaller programs, still great academic colleges, great lifestyles, those sorts of things, but you're playing on a hybrid surface. Okay, so you need to be aware of that. And there can be a big variation between the levels of play between the teams in Division 2. So you need to do your homework and research to make sure that you're not going into a program where you're a standout player in that particular team, but you're frustrated with the playing environment. But it might be that that you're looking for a more relaxed blend of athletics and academics, in which case Division 2 might be a great option or opportunity for you, because you're still in an elite program with a lot of contact hours, but it's not as intense a schedule as Division 1, right? And then from there, if we look at Division 3, this is the largest of the division, so there's over 160 teams here, some amazing colleges within Division 3. However, they don't provide sports scholarships. They provide more academically based financial aid, and that can be a little bit more complex to understand when you're an international athlete. And so, yeah, I'll just flag that. We go into more detail on how do you research that in our 30-day game plan, which if you're on tour with us, we'll be giving you the 30-day game plan as a bonus. Okay, so if we've got over 260 colleges that offer field hockey, then how do you start to narrow that down to a workable list? Because obviously all of those are not going to be an option for you. And this is what all these tools and resources that we're giving you below, that's exactly what this is designed to help you do. Get you to start with that shortlist, quickly build your shortlist, and here are the things that you sort of need to think about as you're going through that process. So we give you a tutorial video below, which will explain how to use the search tool we're about to give you. And we'll look at the things that you need to be looking for in a college before you start contacting coaches, okay? So you need to go through and build out your profile. You need to know what colleges are going to work for you before you go contacting those coaches. So some of the things that you're going to need to look at to find out how many colleges are going, or the types of colleges that are going to be right for you, is looking at location, campus and housing. So as an international student, maybe you don't want to be living off campus first year. So maybe you want to be looking for colleges that have dorm options for your first year. Okay, you need to obviously be maybe looking at colleges. If you're very specific about the type of degree that you want to do, you obviously want to narrow your list down to make sure that the colleges you're looking at do actually offer that degree as an option. Okay, there's a massive amount of flexibility in the US education system, which we go into in detail in the 30-day game plan. And obviously, sports is going to be the first filter that you're going to narrow your list down to, because at the end of the day, they have to have field hockey. And if a sports scholarship's essential for you, then it has to be a Division 1 or a Division 2 school or college. So we'll go into that in detail in the tutorial video we've given you. So now that you've had a look at what's on offer when you're a student athlete and started looking at what colleges that might be right for you, the next thing is, how do you go about contacting coaches? This is important to do before you go to the USA on tour as well. Okay, and we'll explain why in the next video. You don't want to just be lobbing up to the US, playing games and hoping that somebody spots you. It just doesn't work like that, okay? So in video 3, we're going to go through engaging coaches and building relationships, because this is critical. And as an international athlete, it's harder to build relationships with coaches, right? Technology is an amazing thing. It allows us to do some great things as far as getting to know people via video and that sort of thing. But what the tour is going to do is it's going to allow you to contact a whole bunch of coaches all in the one place, all at the one time, meet them face to face, talk to them, question them. And that's a really valuable process of leveraging your sports scholarship application process. Okay, so we'll cover that off in detail in the next video. I'm also going to share with you 3 insider secrets that we learn about the recruitment process and how it really works, and how you can avoid making the mistakes that we made. We spent thousands of dollars, nearly $5,000 with a recruitment agency, and at the end of the day, Georgia was in grade 12 and very late in the process, and we hadn't had a single offer that looked anything like what we were looking for. Okay, she had a couple of offers from small rural colleges, which just wasn't what she was after. So we, late in the process, had to go it alone, and it was what we learned in that process, and then what we learned in building USASportsScholarship.com and the 30-day game plan to bring it to you, that made all the difference with us getting results with Georgia, and certainly how Amelia and all the other athletes that are using the 30-day game plan are going about getting themselves a sports scholarship. So before you go, can we ask you just to jump down below in the comments and pop in any questions that you have as we go through this video and the next video, and we'll cover off on those questions as soon as we get the tour information, the final details. We'll cover off on your questions when we release those details. So pop your comments and questions below. Would really appreciate it. Obviously, if you've got friends you want to take on tour with you, or that you think might be interested, make sure that you share this video or webpage link with them. And if you want to get email updates, we put a get email updates button below. If you've had this video shared with you and you're not on the mailing list and you want to get an email when we release the details, pop your email in below. If you're watching this on one of the social media channels, then just click on the link in the description box. We'll pop the link in there for you, and that'll give you the link to all the resources we've talked about in this video too, if you're on Facebook or whatever. So hope you found that valuable. the next one's going to be really going deep into the whole issues around engaging and contacting coaches, and how coaches work with recruitment agencies, or more importantly, don't work with recruitment agencies, and how you can take control of the process. So yeah, make sure you join us for the next video, and good luck with your sports scholarship journey.